Gavin, who is Cassidy Hutchinson and why is what she said this week so important?
The new darling of the Democrats in Washington, because she apparently is prepared to spill some tea about the White House on January the 6th and that whole insurrection in ways that no one else would. Cassidy Hutchinson is an aide to Mark Meadows, who was, at the time of Trump's defeat and the subsequent events, was the White House chief of staff. So she had a real fly-in-the-wall approach and access to all of the White House meltdown around the election results and its fallout and then what happened on January the 6th. And there was a couple of interesting bits in the testimony that she gave this week to the January 6th committee, which is investigating all of this. There's the nice showbiz anecdote stuff, like Trump throwing a plate against a wall and a cleaner having to take ketchup off it because he was so aggrieved at one of his own ministers basically admitting that there was no fraud at all. But there's one thing which was particularly worrisome about what she said, which is to do with the rally that Donald Trump organised, which then turned into the riot and the mob and the storming of the Capitol building. Because the defence that the Republicans and those loyal to Trump have put up about the whole thing was that, yes, Donald Trump addressed a crowd, but he addressed a crowd that were going down to organise a legitimate protest. He wasn't inciting them to go in and try to uphold some sort of armed insurrection. And what she has said completely and probably fatally undermines that, because Trump allegedly was complaining about how few people were inside the formalised rally area and was complaining about how that would look on TV, that it didn't look as packed as it could have been, and why wouldn't more people come into the area. And it was explained to him explicitly, the reason why they can't come into our formal security area is because they're all carrying weaponry of some sort and they will not pass the security checks, the airport-style checks, on the way into that fenced-off area. And Trump's reply explicitly was, I don't care. I'm not the one that they'll be threatening. I don't care if they're carrying weapons because they're not going to be threatening me, personally, Donald Trump. So stand down the security machinery and let them in. And having said that, and that now being on the record, does very materially suggest that Donald Trump knew the intentions of the people that were there in the crowd and then spoke in such a way as to effectively give them what felt like an instruction to go and not only protest at the Capitol building, but to storm it itself. And that's a very sinister turn on the whole thing. And there's a lot of other interesting gossip as well about how, for example, on that evening, Trump's own cabinet was considering invoking a little-known procedure to basically remove him from the job, to declare him unfit for office because of his behaviour on that day. And the only way in which they were encouraged not to do that was that Trump agreed to issue a video the following day, accepting the result of the election that he didn't accept and agreeing a peaceful turnover of power. It's fascinating stuff, and we could nearly spend hours talking about the fallout of it. But I do think it's just worth reflecting on the fact that the most powerful man in the world knew that he was inciting a violent and armed mob to go down and stop his own defeat from being certified. And we've gotten blasé about how wild it's been for the last couple of years. We should reflect on just how crazy that statement is.
Absolutely. A final question on that, Richard. Do you think that completely changes his chances of re-election?
It's interesting because there's a couple of questions. First of all, does it ruin his chances of becoming the president once again? There has been a shift in the public perception in the United States around this. The majority of people do think that he should face criminal charges. Ron DeSantis is a name you're going to hear plenty of next while. He's the governor of Florida, a mini Trump. Some are saying now he's probably got more of a chance now of being the Republican nominee for president than Donald Trump himself. The other thing is, though, will there be criminal charges about this? Big ask. Justice Department don't normally do anything like this. It's a big leap to go from all this sort of stuff, which comes in a committee which is designed to hear all the bad stuff without hearing a rebuttal. So big questions about that.